Anybody there? Am I too early? I'm sorry, I hung up when I called you because I found the link. I was looking for Travis. There wasn't a link there, but you sent it out, I guess, a little while ago. So I'm on right now. Okay, bye.
Hey, Barry, is your meeting started already?
7 o'clock, Glenn.
Well, you have, it's only,
I what?
it's not even 6:30.
I know. I'm just getting on, so I don't have any problems. Why?
Well, I was gonna see if I could copy something, but you're there already. Hey, I could copy something on this. Good night.
Well, I want to use this computer to see the things I'm supposed to be looking at. So
Forget it.
look at her.
Forget it.
I see. Come here. What do you want copied?
What's the difference?
Yeah, you want to use the copier?
Of course, but I have to use the computer to use the copier.
What is it going to take long?
I have to find something.
Let's do it later. I want to read this stuff.
All right.
Okay, we'll wait home here to find this stuff. Let's not start to annoy me now. You know better.
I'll be quiet then.
Yes, dear. We'll eat dinner after I'm done my meeting, okay, Lynn? I smell a lot better after I took a shower after the gym, Lynn. Ah, ha, ha, ha. What percentage of all full-time employees in Kalamazoo are black? Hey Siri, what percentage of all full-time employees in the city of Kalamazoo are black?
Okay, I found this on the web for what percentage of all full-time employees in city of Kalamazoo are black. Check it out.
No good. What percentage of full-time employees in Kalamazoo are black? Hey Siri, what percentage of the population in South Haven, Michigan is Black?
On it. In 2017, the Black or African American population fraction of South Haven, Michigan was about 14.1%.
Hey Siri, in Kalamazoo, what percentage of the
Okay, I found this on the web.
Hey Siri, what percentage of Kalamazoo City employees are Black?
Okay, I found this on the web for what percentage of Kalamazoo City employees are Black. Check it out.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, then I know everything's good. All right, I'll turn this off till we're starting.
Okay.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, Joe.
Hi. You and I talked about my speaking at the end.
Yes.
When you pick the people to speak at the end, could I go first in that group?
I've already got you first, seeing as I missed you last time.
Thank you.
You got it. I was like, yeah, with my apologies coming to you. So
That's okay. I think I was in Florida using my cell phone, so I may have had some problems with it.
Oh, no, it was good. Like I said, it's funny because it doesn't show up. You know, I could see everybody else, but I didn't see you. And I knew you were there. I just totally
Yeah.
forgot. So
Okay.
technology. All right. Morning, Jeff.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
George, how are you?
I'm well, Scott. How are you?
Good. It's good to see people. Chris.
Ah, there it goes.
There you go.
Yeah, perfect.
That beautiful mute button.
Yes. Oh, you guys might hear Paw Patrol in the background.
It's all good. It's part of the excitement of these Zoom meetings. If there is anything exciting about them, it's what might happen behind the speakers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I still think we should all have like green screens with all sorts of action. You ever watch Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
You know, like they have some big monster behind them or something going on. That's
I did that at a DDA meeting. I put up a green screen background on accident, actually.
I bet you Phil's listening on this. He can probably dial this up for our next meeting. We could have all sorts of action going on. We would be more popular than ever.
Whatever you request, sir, we can do that.
Oh, listen to that. Phil, I love you.
Jeff, how was Nub's Knob? Good.
Really good. They have lots of snow up north. The social distancing, got to stay outside, but it was above freezing during the day, so that wasn't too bad. Just, it's just kind of hard to stay warm. So ate lunch in our car a couple times with the heater running.
Yeah, the biggest challenge is the lines. Did they have the same problem up at Nubs? People weren't naturally going together, so instead of 4 to a chair, it was 1 or 2.
No, they didn't have a problem with that. It said if it's not with your group, you don't ride with them. And
Yep.
so they on a busy day, they would have put 4 people on a 4-person chair, but they just let it go as is. And so it took a little time, a little longer to get up, but not a big deal.
Yeah, it was interesting. Very fascinating.
Yeah.
Letitia's down there. Okay. Kate, we're good for a go in 45 seconds or so.
Yes,
Cool.
yes. I know Letitia's here, but I don't see her on the video just yet. It's 7 o'clock, sir.
All right. Good evening, Miss Letitia. All right. Kate, I'm 7 o'clock. We're a go. Good evening, everyone. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the South Haven City Council for Monday, January the 4th, 2021. I'll call this meeting to order. If we can start tonight with the roll call, please.
Jeff Arnold,
Here.
Chris Campbell,
Here.
Joe Reeser,
Here.
Steve Schlack,
Here.
George Sleeper,
Here.
Letitia Wilkins,
Here.
Scott Smith,
Here. That takes us to the approval of the agenda.
Jeff Arnold, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
George Sleeper, second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, we need a roll call vote.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. I'm looking, do I have Gail out there?
Yes, she's on here.
Yeah, oh, perfect. So next we have update from our county commissioner, Gail Patterson Gladney. Good evening, Gail.
Good evening. Happy New Year to everyone.
You as well.
We have some news from the county. First of all, the Breedsville annexation. This village of Breedsville requested certain property in Columbia Township to be annexed to the village. Commissioners held a public hearing for public input. Prior to the scheduled commission meeting to act on the request, the property owner notified the board chair that there was no need to proceed with the annexation. Commissioners will seek legal advice on how to proceed. And then the countywide recreation plan has been revised, and a public hearing will be held on January 26th of this year at 2:50 p.m. for additional public input. The proposed plan can be viewed online. That's vbco.org. And then the commissioners approved the appointment of Cindy Compton of South Haven to the Van Buren County Land Bank Authority Board for a term that expires on December 31st, 2023. And then the last item, I just wanted to let you know an update of the coronavirus cases, confirmed cases. The latest information I have from this week is 3,986 cases, and for confirmed deaths is 73. And does anyone have any questions? No. Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Gail. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That takes us to the consent agenda items A through F.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through F.
Joe Reeser, I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes. Which takes us to new business. City Council will be asked to consider a motion to confirm the appointment of Nathan Slower to the city clerk position.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to confirm the appointment of Nathan Slower to the city clerk position.
This is Joe Reeser, I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. So Kate, why are we confirming appointments? We don't do this for all employees. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
And no, we don't. By city charter, there's 3 positions that the city council confirms the appointments to, which is 1, the city clerk, the treasurer, and the assessor. Here we have Nathan Slower, was a fantastic candidate who went through our hiring process. Nathan comes to us with a lot of experience and exposure to city municipal government. He interned with the city manager's office at the city of Grand Haven and has worked in numerous other areas. So welcome to Nathan, who's on the call tonight, and he'll be watching Travis go through the motions here.
thank you so much.
All right, so Nathan, anything you'd like to share with the group before we proceed here? I mean, welcome, obviously, we'd like to say welcome, but.
Just that I'm excited to be here. I've enjoyed getting to know some of the staff today, and I look forward to getting to know the rest of you during our upcoming meetings.
Sounds very good. Do we have any council member comments? Or actually, Kate, do we want to, we have to throw out public comment as well here. So you can raise your hand or dial in, if you're doing the dial in *9, right? *9.
That's right. So for those who clicked on the Zoom link, there should be a raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen. And for those of you who are calling in via the phone, there is if you dial *9, that's how you can raise your hand and in the Zoom program. And I don't see anyone raising their hand.
All right. All right. And any other council questions, comments? Anything you'd like to grill Nathan with? Nope. No grilling needed. All right, we have a motion. We have a second. This is a roll call vote, please.
Mayor, it looks like Joe had his hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Scott's forgetting me again. The only thing I was going to say for Nathan, it is a lot easier to follow a good person than it is a problem. And in his case, he's following Travis, who did a great job as city clerk. So I think Nathan's going to have a good start. Again, because he followed somebody who did an outstanding job in that position.
Very true.
I would concur. All right, anybody else? I love these little icons here. All right, roll call.
Reeser,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Next item, city council be asked to take the following actions regarding local approval of a tasting room license application for the Great Mead Hall and Brewing Company, LLC. We need to begin by opening a public hearing, so I will get a motion to do such.
This is Jeff Arnold. I make a motion that we open the public hearing.
George Sleeper, I second.
Very good. We have a motion. We have a second. Let's go ahead and take a vote to open up the public hearing first. So go ahead and do the roll call for opening the meeting.
Schlack,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. So the public hearing is now open. Again, you can do the raise your hand, the icon, or dial in *9. Kate, you want to just give us the background on what's going on here?
Absolutely. So the city of South Haven has received a tasting room license application from the Great Mead Hall and Brewing Company, LLC, and they're requesting to be located at 201 Center Street, which is the Hotel Nichols. Their plan is to build a portable bar and pouring station to allow them to move things around. And this would be they call it the basement portion. It's about 1,500 square feet of the floor space. And it would be, I believe, accessible from the William Street side. And they're likely to be open about 6 to 8 months a year during the warm weather season. And they're originally from Bangor. So I know that we have Scott Whiteford, who is the building owner, on the call. I can unmute him, but I'm not sure if anyone else is here from the Mead Hall. It's kind of hard to see, but if someone from the Mead Hall is here, if they could either raise their hand using the icon or dial *9, I'll get you notified here. And let's see if we've got, let me see if this is the person. Is this the Mead Hall?
Yep.
Okay. Well, you're on with the council. If you want to explain your idea for the tasting room.
Well, we're just looking to kind of expand into South Haven. Scott provided us a nice option and location. So we're trying to, clean that area up, build it in, do a little repairs, and, have our tasting room right there at the hotel.
Okay, thank you. And is my understanding correct that you'd be coming off the William Street side where they have the garage doors?
Yes.
Okay. City Council, does anyone from City Council have any questions for, and I'm sorry, can you state your name, sir?
David McCarty.
David McCarty from the Mead Hall. All right, thank you.
I do have a question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Chris, go ahead.
What is a corn station?
A pouring station, I'm sorry, not corn, pouring.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Any other questions? I mean, I think the only question I think we want to clarify is just we have an application for the Center Street location, but it sounds like it will, in fact, I know that's the building address, but will be access off Center or will be access off Williams?
I believe I'll let Scott answer that one.
Okay, let me unmute him, okay? Scott, are you there?
Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing today?
Good evening, Scott. Good, thanks. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So yeah, of course, we're trying to figure out how to get the ball rolling on this. The first duck in a row is to petition you guys. And then step number 2 with the address. One thing that I would like to do is I would like to talk to the post office and get a William Street address for these guys. There was just no point in doing that before this meeting. So we wanted to make sure that that it was approved before going to the post office.
Perfect. That was kind of one of my main questions, just trying to understand why we didn't, but that explains it. You don't have an address yet, so very good. Scott, just wanted to share with us kind of your vision on how this is going to just the layout. I mean, I think a lot of us are visualizing William Street in your hotel. Maybe just share with us your vision on how this is going to lay out.
Yeah, sure. So currently, believe it or not, between those 2 garage doors, there's an old door from probably the 1950s, 60s. We've uncovered it and then we covered it back up. We envision having that being the primary ingress, egress, whatever you want to call it. We have the capability of opening up those garage doors. So that just allows extra foot traffic, fresh air. We envision the portable bar to be on the eastern wall. We have bathrooms in the southwest corner of that space that we still have to build. And pretty much we see this just being an open concept. I mean, I have a lot of people that come to the hotel that have groups of 40, 50, possibly even more people that stay in the local other lodging places. And they want to have a meeting spot. I knew Dave already. I talked to him over the last year or so, and I said, hey, why not provide them with some excellent beverages while they meet up? So we feel it's kind of a great synergy between our 2 groups. The hotel having the venue space, and then the meat hall being able to sell more of their product, especially with the historic aspect that Mead has. So the building's obviously about 140 years old, and why not serve something that's about 1,400 years old to the people?
Okay. Sounds good. Any other council questions with what we just went through? And if not, oh, George, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Whitehurst, I don't know if we need to somehow capture the fact that the address might be changing when we go to make our motion for the approval of the resolution, because I think the resolution will have the Hotel Nichols, the 201 Center Street address on it. And we may want to say something like, or applicable William Street address if it becomes available or something like that. I don't know, Travis or Kate might want to weigh in on that.
I think it's a good idea to just include that wording in the motion. In the past, we've had it happen once or twice where an applicant turned in one of those forms to us, and there was like something as small as they didn't include a comma before the LLC or something like that. And I know the Liquor Control Commission sent that back to them and asked them that, or requested that we provide them with a form with the correct name on it. My guess is they're going to be similar with the address. I would just include that in the motion. Once it's approved, if they change that address before they go to get their licensing from the state, then we can just update that resolution for them.
I would agree with that. We've done that before. We've had applications not be accepted by the LCC because of deficiencies either in the name or whatnot. We can, I think for clarity, we might just want to put down the address on the form, and then understanding that once they do have an address on William Street, we can revisit and redo this form. We can have another resolution. If there's any kind of inconsistencies between the name, the place of business, LCC may not accept the form. So I would, I guess, go with what they actually had the address for.
So you're saying just leave it as George mentioned, 201 Center Street, recognizing that there will be a William Street address at a future date?
Right, without knowing what the future William Street address may be, that may cause more confusion for LCC purposes.
Yeah, like I said, I think this is what you're saying, Kate, but I would just make the motion to also include potentially a Williams Street address. I think that then gives us the ability then at that point, if when they go to apply, if they need to have that address changed, that we can do that here. We can just update the resolution and send that to them.
Okay. Sounds
Okay.
good. How about any other, let's go to public comments now. So again, you can raise your hand if you've got that icon or dial in *9. Kate, help me. Like, I'm not seeing everybody. I don't want to miss anybody. If you see something, feel free to.
Yep, I can see everyone. So if you have any comments, just push the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen, or if you're on a telephone, dial *9. And it looks like we have a comment.
Meeting.
I will unmute. It
That's
looks
why I
like
can't hear, because you don't let me by your bedroom door.
All right, Pamela, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Pamela Jones Frazier. I live at 21870 M140 Highway in South Haven, Michigan. I've been a resident here for over 30 years. And I just wanted to make a comment today regarding the hiring process when it in regards to the people of color here in South Haven.
Hey, Pam.
Uh-huh.
We're actually discussing another item right now.
Oh, I'm
If you'd like-
sorry.
That's okay. Item 11.
Okay, I can wait. I'll
Very
wait.
good.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
clearing that up for me. Sorry.
That's okay. Okay. Any other comments about the tasting room?
It doesn't appear like we have anyone else raising their hand for this item, sir.
Okay. I'll get a motion to close the public hearing.
This is Jeff Arnold. I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
George Sleeper, second.
All right, motion and second to close the public hearing. This is a roll call.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. So that takes us to the item under consideration. City Council will be asked to consider the approval of Resolution 2021-03, which is a resolution granting local approval for a tasting room license application for the Great Mead Hall Brewing Company LLC to be located at, and here's where we'll put 201 Center Street / or in parentheses, with applicable William Street address once established by the post office. Period. If that works for Kate and Travis.
Yep.
All right, that's the motion we're looking for.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-03, a resolution granting local approval for the tasting room license application to the Great Mead Hall and Brewing Company LLC to be located at 201 Center Street or whatever applicable William Street address is assigned to that area, that location by the post office.
Jeff Arnold, I'll second.
Excellent. We have a motion. We have a second. We've already had public comment on this one. So any other council comments before we roll call it? All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and get a roll call vote.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes. Next, City Council is going to receive a presentation from Mr. Peter Hefner of Reederveld and Hefner LLC, the city's independent auditing firm, and I apologize if I slaughtered the name.
You are just fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you for being on the call.
No problem. It's my pleasure to present your 2020 audit, and I wanted to just point out some highlights, if I may. On page 1 of the financial statements is our opinion, and that opinion is expressed on the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, the aggregate component units, as well as the aggregate funds. And our opinion is 2 pages long. I'm going to discuss just the last paragraph on page 1. And I always like to point out that the financial statements are the responsibility of management. And at the bottom of page 1, our opinion is that the financial statements of the city, governmental activities, business type activities, each major fund, the aggregate funds, as well as the aggregate component units, are presented fairly in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, which means you are presenting the financial position, results of operations, and cash flows where applicable of those funds following the standards required to be followed by the state of Michigan as well as the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. So that's what I refer to as a clean opinion. The statements are presented fairly. At the back of the report, and I'm just going to point out a couple page numbers, we also provide 2 additional opinions. On pages 127 and 129, on 127, we provide an opinion on the city's system of internal controls over financial reporting. And that's what I would refer to as a clean opinion. We did not identify any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in the city's system of internal controls over financial reporting or pulling together this report. And that's positive. In addition, on page 129, we provide an opinion on the city's compliance with federal grant requirements. And then again, that opinion did not identify any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses with your system of internal controls over compliance with federal grant requirements. You received approximately $1.5 million in federal financial assistance, and we audited the CDBG program grants. And that's the basis for us expressing the opinion on your compliance. So at the very back of the report, there's a document that goes to the federal government. There's a clearinghouse for audits. It shows a clean opinion on your financial statements, clean opinion on your system of internal controls over financial reporting, clean opinion on your compliance, and it didn't identify any other deficiencies. So positive across the board. So that's your report is vast. It provides an introductory section, our opinion, management's discussion and analysis, followed by the government-wide financial statements, fund financial statements, notes to the financial statements, supplementary information, and then statistical information. So what we did is we put together some graphs, and I don't know if I would be able to share my screen and I can just walk you through what occurred in the current year. Is that a possibility?
Yes, you've been made a co-host, so go ahead and share your screen.
So you should see a picture or a slide. It says City of South Haven year ended June 30th, 2020. Do you see that?
Yep.
Perfect. And I'm going to walk through these slides just briefly. So the first slide that we show here is your governmental activities, and this is combining all of the governmental funds and accounting for them on a business perspective or full accrual accounting. And this is showing to what extent do the governmental activities, public safety, public works, et cetera, the blue component, the expenses associated with those operations, to what extent are they self-supporting through charges for services, operating, or capital grants? And it's a very typical picture of cities. Your biggest expense is public safety for governmental activities. Your public works is second biggest, and you can see the purple is the extent that you're receiving funding, operating grants, which is Act 51 funding that supports that operation. The differential, can you see my arrow on the screen? Okay, great. The differential between these expenses and these dollars that flow in program revenues, so that's charges for services, operating grants, and capital grants. The differential here is being supported by property taxes, as well as state shared revenue and unrestricted revenue. But a very typical picture. The largest investment is public safety, and this is all of your governmental funds. The next slide that I show is that governmental activities again. So we're looking full accrual across all your governmental funds. Where do those dollars come from? And what I usually look for, and we work with many cities, is to what extent are you reliant on the state or other entities that can control the funding? And from my perspective, looking at this pie, it looks like you're pretty well diversified with property taxes, charges for services. You're not just relying on state shared revenue. Now, the next slide that we're looking at is your fund financial statement. So this is just looking at individual funds. This is a picture of your general fund revenues, and you can see you're doing well with property taxes, and that's property value increases. But you can see state share revenue is really not changing. Charges for service haven't substantially changed. And this other can fluctuate from year to year, just depending on what's occurring in your operation. You might receive a grant for this or that. But strong growth on property taxes. And here's a longer look at it, or I look at it from the perspective of just property tax. And it's good that it's going up versus going down. So I have other clients where they were very up and down back here, where you've just been pretty rock solid. I remember when we had what was referred to as the Great Recession, and talking with your board, and you consistently performed from a property tax perspective. This is where the dollars are going to in your general fund. So here are the expenditures by function. And again, public safety is the leader. And it's very typical across other governmental entities. When you look at general government, pretty flat, public works slightly increasing. And I think these are projects or things of that nature. Now, this is the bottom line on your general fund. This is your fund balance as a percentage of expenditures and transfers, solid financial position at 30%. So that would indicate that you would have approximately 4 months of fund balance, which can include receivables, can and does include receivables from the state of Michigan. It just shows to what extent do you have a bottom line available to support future operations. So very, very consistent over the past 5 years. Here's a look at your enterprise funds. So these would be your business type activities. And you can see for your electric fund, it fluctuates back and forth depending on the cost of power, the cost of operations, cost of replacement. For the current year, it had a very slight loss, approximately break even. Now, when we take a look at your sewer operations, this line is the investment you made in the new authority. So when I was looking through the financial statements, I was thinking, what is that all about? And when I gained an understanding about it, really, I believe you invested about $2 million in the authority this year, which was recorded as an expense. And so very explainable. Otherwise, pretty much a break-even operation when you average it out. And here is a picture of your water fund. And in this case, you can see your results of operations have consistently resulted in a positive change in that position. And that allows you to invest in capital without having to perhaps go to the debt market. There's other things in play here, non-cash transactions, such as pension and OPEB and depreciation, but consistently performing with a positive change in the bottom line. And the last slide that I have is just looking at so we looked at the government-wide statements, we looked at the general fund, we looked at the business type activities, and these are your other governmental fund financial statements. Just looking at over time, what's happening with fund balance. You can see major and local street funds just working their way along. That would be the yellow and the light blue here. And over time, those dollars are primarily used for maintenance. Any substantial construction oftentimes need to be subsidized by a street improvement fund or the general fund. So you can see the street improvement fund, dollars go up, projects occur, dollars go down. And this is looking at the fund balance or bottom line at the end of the year. In addition to the statements and the opinions, we also provide a letter of communications to the board. And in that letter, we identify significant issues that occurred during the audit, significant estimates. I would suggest that you take a read through that document. It's not included in the audit. We did identify several adjustments during the audit process, but otherwise the letter is pretty much boilerplate. Are there questions about the report itself that I perhaps can answer?
I see Joe's got his hand up.
So my question is back about 4 slides when it said safety is going up. Yes, right there, continues to go up, public safety. My big question is not absolute dollars, but how is that as a percentage going up? And how does that compare to inflation? If inflation is a 1.5%, is that going up more or less? And how is it going up relative to revenue going up? So is it capturing a bigger part of our total revenue, or is the absolute dollar increase really not growing faster than inflation and faster than our income?
Well, I'm just going to kind of make an estimate here. I can see you went from 3 million to 4 million in a 5-year period. And that would indicate that it's about 2.5%. Does that make sense? As far as a percentage increase? I'm sorry, that would be 4 to 5 million. So probably 3+% increase in public safety every year. And I'm going to go back one more slide. These are really tough to look at, but your real revenue growth is property taxes. What I can do is I can put together another graph and provide that to your finance director, and she could send it to you. That might be helpful, because to do it just on the fly, it's a little difficult because I don't have the underlying data. Does that make sense?
Okay, sure.
Would that be acceptable to do that?
Sure.
Okay, I can do that. Are there other questions that I can perhaps answer? And keep in mind, when we look at this public safety, this includes the purchase of police cars and capital type items. So if there's a project in there or 3 police cars in a given year, it could spike things. It's not looking at things from the business perspective of those first slides we were looking at.
Any other council questions? I don't see anybody. Kate, I don't see everybody right now because of the slide, so.
Oh, okay, let me unshare.
I don't see anyone else's hands raised. I'm not sure if anyone else has a comment for the audit report.
Sounds good. Well, we appreciate obviously the accounting or the auditing, the report and whatnot. It's very helpful to see that all in a snapshot, and we'll look forward to that other graph relative to public safety. So if there's no other questions, that'll take us on to the next item. City Council will be asked to consider a motion to accept the audit report as presented and place the report on file in the Finance Department.
Thank you.
And if any other council member has any questions, we can submit them to Mr. Hefner and get the answers needed.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to accept the audit report as presented and place the report on file in Finance Department.
Chris Campbell, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Kate, I don't know if you had anything else, public comment, if you have any public comments. Again, you can raise your hand or dial *9. While we're waiting for those, Kate, anything else you wanted to add to the report? I mean, it's available. If someone had a question, they can come down and see it at City Hall, correct?
Absolutely. We always have a paper copy, but it will be on the city's website. Also is linked to the packet for the council agenda in there. And I know Michelle Argue, our finance director, is on here, and I think she wanted to explain that we received an award for this audit. Michelle, are you there?
Yes, good evening.
Evening, Michelle.
I just wanted to talk about our Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. That was in the introductory section of the audit. The award is presented by the Government Finance Officers Association. I'm going to call it GFOA from now on. In 1906, it represents public finance officials throughout the United States and Canada. The association's more than 20,000 members are federal, state, provincial, and local finance officials. The FOA's mission is to advance excellence in public financing. They also have many training opportunities, and I've attended some through the Michigan organization of the GFOA. The GFOA established the Certificate of Achievement and Excellence Financial Reporting Program in 1945 to encourage and assist state and local governments to go beyond the minimum requirements of generally accepted accounting, to prepare comprehensive annual financial reports that evidence the spirit and transparency and full disclosure, and then to recognize individual governments that succeed in achieving that goal. The program is not to assess the financial health of the participating, rather to ensure that users of the financial statements have the information they need to do so themselves. We have to submit an audit every single year. And each year, once you're presented the award, it's only valid for 1 year. This was actually the 20th year that the city has actually won this award consecutively. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Yep, so this will be our 20th year of receiving this award.
Congratulations to our finance department. Kate, any other public comments?
I do not see anyone else's hand raised.
Perfect. Let's do roll call. We have a motion, we have a second. Let's do roll call.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. That takes us to item 9. City Council will be asked to receive an update on the city's diversity initiatives and new hire statistics from Human Resources Director Kim Wise. Good evening, Kim Wise.
Good evening. In your council packet is a full report on our new hire stats and an update on our diversity initiatives. And the presentation that I'll be giving tonight will be an overview of that report. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Let's see here. Okay. And are you able to see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, great. So before I get started, let me see here, get that going there. Before I get started, I'd like to state yet again that we understand that historically there has been a disparity in the hiring of minority candidates for full-time positions within the city. We acknowledge this fact, and we are working hard to create policies and practices that increase minority hirings and puts a strong values on diversity and inclusion. I also want to make it very clear that this is a passion project for me. I started working on diversity initiatives from my first month on the job, which was back in June 2019. No one had to tell me that we were lacking minority employees. I saw it immediately, and I wanted to do something to fix it. I truly hope that the information and ideas presented in this report will be met with compassion and a willingness to work with me and the leadership team to increase diversity and inclusion in the city's workforce. Okay, so having only joined the city last year, I wanted to see a bigger picture of our historical hiring practices. The The furthest I could go back was 2013 when we implemented BSNA, which is our Human Resources Information System. Going back to 2013, we have data on 198 current and previous employees. That's full-time, part-time, and seasonal employees. This first pie chart shows that out of 198 full-time, part-time, and seasonal employees, 13% of our new hires have been minorities. Now we can break that down a little bit further. The chart on the left shows a breakdown of our current and previous full-time employees, and without a doubt, this is where we're seeing the most disparity and where we had the most opportunity for improvement. And the chart on the right shows a breakdown of our current and previous part-time and seasonal staff, which is comprised of 21% minorities. This next slide shows some of the initiatives that we put into place since the last presentation I gave you, which was back in August, some of the initiatives that we've been working on. So again, August, I came to council and gave you an update on what we had been working on. In the fall, I spoke with a local pastor on diversity initiatives that could be rolled out. Once COVID restrictions are lifted, there's a lot of out-of-the-box ideas that we talked about. But again, with COVID, you know, a lot of these things were getting out to the people. And so that's just not going to happen until we have those restrictions lifted. One of the ideas that came out of that meeting, though, was having a minority on each of our interview panels. So as of September 2020, our interview panels now include at least one city employee whose race is classified as a minority. In October and November, staff went through some training. So in October, all staff went through microaggression training, and we had 100% completion of all city employees for that. November 2020, the police department went through de-escalation training, which talks about how to diffuse situations, and they had 100% completion on that as well. November as well, I came to council and requested approval to create a HR committee, and with that committee, we're going to be taking a look at many HR topics, but including diversity as well. And with that, one of the projects we're going to be working on is an equal employment opportunity plan. And our first meeting for that is going to be next week. And finally, I've been researching some performance and learning management systems. A new performance management system would allow us to build a diversity and inclusion component into our staff's annual evaluation. And a learning management system would allow us to offer more diversity and compliance training to our staff. So those are some projects I'm really looking forward to. This next slide shows how well the city is at retaining our full-time and part-time staff. In general, a retention rate of 90% or higher is considered ideal. So for fiscal year 19, you saw that we were at 90%. Fiscal year 20, we experienced just a little bit more turnover, but it was still pretty good at 88%. And then for this fiscal year, which started in July 1, we are experiencing an outstanding retention rate, maintaining 96% of our staff. While a high retention rate saves the city money because we're not paying for costs associated with employee turnover, it also means that we have less opportunity to hire new staff. Okay, at this point in the presentation, I wanted to show the comparisons of our hiring practices before and after we implemented our diversity initiatives. Even though we started these initiatives in June 2019, the data on the slide is based on September 2nd, 2019, which was the first full-time person we hired after focusing on diversity. So these are all of our hires prior to September 2nd, 2019, and you can see that there was that disparity there. And then after we rolled out our diversity initiatives, we saw a much improvement after we implemented that. Now, what I've been hearing too is, you know, these are including part-time and seasonal workers. So I've been hearing from folks that they want to know more about our full-time. So our 99 full-time hires that came in prior to September 2nd, 2019, again, you're seeing that big disparity there where we had 95% were white. Now we've only hired 9 full-time employees after we rolled this out. And with that, we have that did increase our diversity as far as we hired 1 person who was Black. But again, that's 9 people, so that's a very small sample size, and we need more time to be able to see how progress is being made. When we look at our part-time and seasonal staff, you are seeing a larger sample size. So the pie chart on the left shows 67 part-time and seasonal hires that came in prior to September 2019. 85% were white. And then when we look at after we rolled out our diversity initiatives, We had 24 part-time seasonal hires. After that, 63% white, 4% were listed as Black or African American, 29% listed as 2 or more races, and 4% were listed as Hispanic. So next, I'd like to provide a little clarity on our recruitment process. I've had some people ask about that. How do you hire folks? So this is always something that we're looking at, and we're able to make revisions as needed. But whenever we have a job opening, whether it's through a vacancy or something that's new in the budget, the department head, or also known as the hiring manager, would submit a requisition form to me. So they're going to let me know, how many people do we need to hire for that position? Where do they want to post the position? All right. Once I get that, then I post that position online. We post it on our website. It can go to Facebook. It goes to Indeed. It can, depending on what the position is, it could go to LinkedIn. If it's like a police officer position, IMCOLS. So we're putting that out there in many different places. Of course, we're putting it out in the South Haven Tribune and the Herald Palladium as well. And our positions get posted for at least 2 weeks in the newspapers. All right, once those applications start rolling in, those come to me, and I review all the applications, and I rate the candidates based on education, their skills, any certification, their work experience, and such. I put all that information into a spreadsheet and rate them that way. Once I have all the candidates' information, I make a copy of that spreadsheet, and I remove all the personal identifiers. So that would include like their name, their street address, what year they graduated. And from there, I take their work experience, and rather than saying that somebody worked for a company from 2000 to 2005, I'll say that they worked there for 5 years. And the reason why we do that is so then that way we are removing that bias against anybody who has a gap in their employment history. So it might be they had a gap due to staying at home with small children, or they were laid off. That's just one more way that we're trying to remove that implicit bias. Once I have that, I will assign each candidate a personal identifier, so ID number. And from there, I'll send that spreadsheet over to the hiring manager. They review the spreadsheet and they determine which candidate they want to interview. So they'll contact me and say, hey, Kim, I want to interview candidates number 3, 5, and 15. Now, the number of candidates that we interview is based on the position and how many people will apply. So it could range anywhere from maybe 4 people to 8 to 12. It just depends on how many people apply for that position. And from there, the hiring manager and I will decide who's going to sit on that interview panel. So it's going to be the hiring manager. It'll be probably somebody from the department. And as of September, we are including a minority in that as well. If I'm available, I will sit in on the interviews, but we do a lot of interviews throughout the year, so I'm not always able to sit in on every single one of them. So from there, I call the candidates, I get them scheduled for their interviews. When they come in for the interviews, the hiring manager and the panel will use predetermined questions and a scoring sheet that's been developed by HR to score the candidates. They must stick to the questions that are on that, and they can't sway from that. They can do a follow-up question, but we make sure that they're not asking any personal type questions. And we did add, I want to say back in June of last year, pretty soon after I started, a diversity question to all of the interviews. So we're asking candidates about their experiences working with diverse coworkers or customers. And then following the interview, if necessary, we could administer a practical exam. So depending on what the position is, do we want them to write a newspaper article or anything like that? We would send a practical exam for them to do as well. Finally, the hiring manager and the interview panel make the final decision on who's going to get hired. Okay. All right, so now we want to know if blind hiring is working. So after June 2020, which is when we rolled out the blind hiring, we made job offers to 27 full-time, part-time, and seasonal candidates. And this is the breakdown of who we made job offers to. 67% were white, 7% were Black, 22% were 2 or more races, and 4% were Hispanic or Latino. Of those, now this chart over here on the right-hand side is very similar. This is who actually accepted our job offers. So you can see in this position that we had one candidate who was Black and one candidate who was white who declined our offer. So let's talk about who's applying for our positions. Now, please note, we cannot legally ask a candidate what their race is. However, they can voluntarily enter that information. So for those 25 full-time, part-time, and seasonal positions that I just talked about, we had 137 candidates who applied for that. And you can see the breakdown by race here. So we had 80 candidates who listed their race as white. We had 42 candidates did not list their race at all. We had 7 candidates list their race as black. 2 candidates list their race as 2 or more races. 1 candidate who listed their race as American Indian or Alaska Native, and 5 candidates who listed their race as Hispanic or Latino. So again, we had 42 people who did not list their race. Okay. Now I know some members of council and community have expressed that they're more interested in hearing about our full-time positions. So this slide shows, since we've rolled out blind hiring in June, that we made job offers to 8 people for 6 open positions. In this situation, we had 1 black male and 1 white male decline our offer, so we hired a white woman instead. And in this case, the woman was hired for a position that is traditionally male dominated. And we'll talk a little bit about gender inequality a little bit later. So who applied for those 6 full-time positions that we had open since June? I'm gonna back this up one, actually. According to our data in BSNA, the people that applied for these 6 positions, we had a position open for a wastewater treatment plant operator. And for that, candidates listed, we had 1 list as Hispanic, 4 listed as not reported, and 4 listed as white. For meter reader, we had 2 listed as Hispanic, 1 listed as black, and we've made the job offer to that candidate. 1 listed as 2 or more races. That was actually an internal candidate who ended up withdrawing from the process. We had 6 candidates not report their race and 23 that were reported as white. For customer service, we had 1 candidate listed as Hispanic, 2 listed as black, 1 of which was an internal candidate who had just started working here about 2 weeks before they applied for the position and who's still working for us. We had 1 candidate who listed themselves as 2 or more races, 10 that were listed as not reported, and 10 listed as white. For the line worker apprentice position we had open, we had 1 listed as American Indian, 1 not reported, and 5 listed as white. For city clerk, we had 4 candidates listed not reported and 8 as white. And then for the assistant city manager, we had 3 candidates listed as Hispanic, 3 listed as black, and 1 withdrew. 11 listed as not reported, and 19 listed as white. So again, we've only hired 6 full-time employees since June. So this is really too small of a sample size statistically to determine if blind hiring is working. Now this next slide's a little tough to read, so it might be easier to read it from your report. But in calendar year 2020, we filled 14 full-time positions, and only 6 of those positions were filled by external candidates, which happen to be the 6 people we've hired since rolling out blind hiring. The other 8 positions were filled by internal candidates or as part of an acquisition. So in all, we had filled 43 positions this year. And for those 43 positions, we had 308 candidates. 103 were selected for interviews. Of those 103, we had 80 that showed up for interviews, either some withdrew from consideration or simply a no call, no show. And then we filled 43 positions last year. Again, it's a mixture of external candidates, returning seasonals, internal candidates, and acquisitions, which is when we brought on the marina. So who applied for those 43 open positions in 2020? This slide shows you a breakdown of candidates by race. Again, we had over 300 people that applied for positions, but 264 came through our website. The rest came through other sources such as LinkedIn, Facebook, or a paper application. So they wouldn't have listed their race on those. Our 2020 candidates, we had 163 list their race as white, 71 did not report their race, 12 reported their race as black or African American. We had 7 that reported themselves as 2 or more races, 1 that reported themselves as American Indian or Alaska Native. We had 1 as Asian, and then 8 that had listed their race as Hispanic or Latino. Okay, so what does this data mean to me? It means that we need to do a better job of aggressively trying to reach a diverse candidate pool rather than passively waiting for them to apply. And there's some ideas I have later in the presentation that I'll go over for that. Now, I've heard multiple times that we really shouldn't focus on part-time or seasonal staff and that we need to focus on full-time positions. Although this may not be a popular opinion, starting off as a part-time or seasonal worker is one of the best and easiest ways to gain full-time employment with the city of South Haven. We currently have 76 full-time employees with 2 new employees starting this month and 1 more full-time position to be filled. That brings us to 79 full-time positions in the city. Of those 79 employees, 25% of our current full-time staff began their careers with the city as a part-time or seasonal worker. Again, that's a quarter of our full-time workforce started off as part-time or seasonal. Another reason not to overlook part-time and seasonal workers is because it's a great way for the city to evaluate employees on their work performance, behavior, eagerness to develop professionally, and their customer service skills. If they're not a great seasonal worker, we're certainly not going to hire them as a full-time employee. And then finally, part-time and seasonal work is a great training opportunity for staff. I had mentioned earlier we had a candidate that applied for customer service rep, and she'd only been here for a couple of weeks. This young lady is a Black young lady, and she's just a wonderful asset to our workforce here. She started off as a seasonal dockhand, and as she was going through her career at the marina, we kept getting great feedback from her boss about she's our go-to person. When we need something done, she's our go-to. So fast forward to this fall when it came time for the elections, Travis had a lot on his plate. So we were like, we need to get him some help. We posted a temporary elections clerk and she applied for that position. We immediately moved her into that position. So she worked here in City Hall for a couple months assisting Travis. We couldn't keep her very long because we knew she was leaving to move down south to go to school. Well, due to COVID, that fell through. So we immediately thought of her when it came time to try to fill the ice rink position. So now currently she's working over at the ice rink. If I had a full-time position, Kate and I both said she is an amazing worker. We would love to get her in here full-time because she has worked for us throughout the year as a seasonal part-time worker, and she's just cross-training in all these different areas. All right, so now we have current staff by gender. Not going to spend a lot of time on this, but it does show that we have a tendency to hire more men than we do women. And that's likely because most of our positions are in what you can consider male-dominated fields of work, such as police department, water filtration plant, wastewater treatment plant, and DPW. So again, this is our current full-time, part-time, and seasonal staff by gender, and here's our full-time by gender. My last few slides are dedicated to building a diversity plan. So we must impress upon our leaders and our staff that an understanding and appreciation of diversity and inclusion are required competencies for working for the city. Our leaders must champion this cause, so it's up to me and Kate to provide ongoing training to our leaders. One way we're doing that is we implemented leadership retreats that started last year. We have our next one hopefully this month, if not next month, depending on what COVID does. We also rolled out new leader onboarding this past year. So whenever we bring somebody up to a leadership position, they go through half a day of orientation, going over things like harassment training, diversity training, and such. Again, I talked about that learning management system. This would be a great opportunity to be able to roll out ongoing regular diversity training to all of our staff. And then community involvement. We really impress upon our leaders that we want them to be involved in the community, whether it be Kiwanis, Rotary, any of the festivals in town. Kate's involved heavily with our town players. I'm involved heavily with the robotics team in the high school. So we're out there trying to reach kids while they're young to help get them the skills that they need to be a great asset to the workforce. So as I mentioned, we need to be doing a better job of reaching a diverse workforce. One of the things that's my top priorities with the HR committee will be to create an equal employment opportunity plan. City of Kalamazoo has one. It's a great template for us to take a look at. Now, again, I'd be working with this with the HR committee, but I would like this to be reviewed and approved by council and other community stakeholders. As you saw in the stats for our applications, we do not have enough minorities applying for positions. We need to actively recruit them rather than passively waiting for them to apply. One way we can do that is, maybe possibly host a career fair out at Elkenberg Park during the event or a festival. Be very happy to do that. Go out there and talk to folks about not only our open positions, but what are the career paths at the city. We know that internet's a problem for some folks, so I would like to budget to have a kiosk put in the lobby of City Hall where folks could come in and apply online for a position. And then we would have all of our job postings posted right above that kiosk. So that's something I would like to take a look at. We should continue to participate in events such as the annual Career and Business Expo that's hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. That is a great opportunity for community members to get out and visit not just the city's booth, but all local businesses in town. They have a lot of people that participate in there, and we'd like to see more people come to that. I know Kate, Bill Hunter and I, others have worked with Project Pathway at the high school. With this, we go in, we talk to kids about their resumes, we review that, we do mock interviews with them. Again, getting to these kids when they're younger to help them with their skill set. I'd like to budget for internships and job shadows. We had 2 interns this past year who were listed as 2 or more races, and I think that was a great opportunity for them and for us. Communication, I'd like to give quarterly updates to council, so then that way you know what's going on, and so you can pass along that information to the citizens of your wards. Employers who are committed to diversity, they share that story. So I'd like to be able to share stories on social media showing our workforce and diversity that we have to highlight diversity in all of our marketing materials. And then finally, last year we took a look at all of our job descriptions, but I would also like to take a look at our job postings because we are basically basing our job postings strictly off the job descriptions. It would be nice to be able to add in a little bit more information about why you should want to work for the city, that we do care and that we do value diversity. So as I conclude this presentation, I cannot stress enough to our community that the city does care about diversity issues. It may have been talked about previously, but over the past year and a half, we've developed an actual plan and we're putting it into place. I'm very excited for the next step, which is creating an equal employment opportunity plan. It's a huge step. It's going to take a lot of time and focus. And as a reminder, I'm an HR department of 1, which is why I'm asking the HR committee to help with this project. I'm also asking for some patience as we continue to wait for additional data to come in. Change takes time, so I hope you'll allow Kate and I some grace as we implement these new initiatives and work towards changing the culture within our workforce. And if anyone has any questions or concerns, I do have my contact information up here. Please reach out to me. I would be happy to speak to you one-on-one. And if you have ideas, I'm all for listening to it. So with that, I will take any questions you might have.
Very good. Thank you, Kim. I will wait and see if we have any.
Steve Slack.
Steve.
I would just like to thank her for her presentation. It looks like we're headed in the right direction, and looking at a lot of the numbers and the efforts on her presentation, it looks like we got a firm grasp on what needs to be done, and I think we're headed in the right direction. So thank you very much for the report.
You're very welcome.
Very good. Thank you. Any others? Joe.
I'm going to try to choose my words carefully on this. I think, as Steve said, I think we are doing a lot of the good things that we need to create diversity in hiring, and I think Kim has gone out of her way to do it. I do think that there is a perception that the city is not embracing diversity or inclusion, and it goes beyond hiring. The issue of leadership in this town and welcoming leadership from different cultures and different races. I think there's also a difference between the reality of who we have in the city working and the perception of what the city is doing. So I think we have to work at getting more input and listening to the community, what their concerns are about diversity. It's one thing for HR to feel we're doing everything. It's one thing for city council to think we're doing everything that we need to, or most things. But what does the community really think? And I think we have a real divide there, and that's what we have to work on. I've talked to you, Scott, the mayor, and I've talked to Kate, and I came up with a thought, and I know we're going to hopefully have it on the agenda, the next city council. but I think we have to get more, we have to do a better job of listening to minorities, in particular Blacks in this community. And I've talked to Chris recently after one of the city council meetings, and Chris said, you know, the problem is we just have to listen, and people don't think we're listening. And I hope I'm quoting you correctly, Chris, but that's the takeaway I have also, that we need to do a better job of listening, because I think a lot of the Blacks in this community don't think we're paying attention to their concerns. Thanks.
Mr. Reeser, I'll address that too. I think that getting feedback from the community is vital. Part of the equal employment opportunity plan, if we are able to get that going, that would actually include like a monitoring reporting system. So if somebody felt that they were disrespected by one of our employees, they could report that. For City of Kalamazoo, their HR director is the EEOP liaison, so they oversee it. So those complaints go to that person. But if we wanted to have that somebody else, that would be fine too. But this would be a option for the community to report any instances in which they felt they were being discriminated against.
Very good. Yeah, Kim, I will just echo the sentiments. I think you were given a challenge. I think you stepped up to the challenge. I mean, this is not easy, but there is a will and a desire of the elected officials and of city staff to continue to embrace, you know, diversity and inclusion within our city. So I think the efforts are to be applauded. So with that, if there's no other questions, we've been here about an hour. Let's at least get through one or two more items. We consider a break. Good to go on?
Did you want to take public comment here? It would be raise your hand on the icon on the bottom, or dial *9. And I know Miss Frazier she had called in earlier on a different comment. So we'll have 5 minutes. Remember to state your name and your address. So if you're ready, sir, I'll take the first caller. I think it'll be Miss Frazier.
Perfect. You've got a timer going?
I do have a timer going.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for calling back.
Yes, I never left. Yes, thank you so much. Like I said before, my name is Pam Frazier, Pamela Jones Frazier, and I am a resident of South Haven. I live at 21870 M140 Highway here in South Haven, Michigan. And like I said earlier, I've been a resident here for the past 30 years, and I love South Haven, Michigan. And I just wanted to just talk about a few concerns that, you know, we've had regarding the hiring process. I did enjoy the presentation that the young lady just went over, and I understand all of that. And if some of that stuff is implemented, that will help us out. But some of our concerns are the hiring process and how the people of color have been overlooked in that process. And we just have to do a better job. We have to do a better job. And while I was listening to her presentation and I was jotting a few things down, I did notice that she said, and some of her numbers said where we had 3% of the Black community in the hiring process. It was up to 87% of the white community, that's just not acceptable. We have got to, you guys kept mentioning diversity and inclusion. We want to be included. We have to be included in this process. You know, when Mayor Scott was running for office, you know, he showed us he was very supportive of our concerns and our you know, for the Black communities, the concerns that we had. But seemed like some of those concerns have been forgotten, and we just want to make sure that you do not forget about us and remember that as a member of the Black community, we want answers. We want answers. We want to be included. We want these full-time jobs. We want those to be remembered when in this process. And I just want to say, Mr. Joe, you're absolutely right. You're correct. Sometimes we feel like you're not listening to our concern. We just want to make sure you're listening to our concerns. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that issue. Thank you.
Thanks again for calling in and sticking around.
Okay, next caller. I'm not sure the name. It says Alcatel A30. So I'm asking them to unmute. You're on with the council. Please state your name and your address. You'll have 5 minutes.
My name is Freddie Sanders, and I stay at 322 Spencer Avenue here in South Haven. I recently just moved back to South Haven. I've been in the community though for the last 35 years, and I've dealt with the application process with City Hall and with a lot of other factories in this area that have gone away. This community, from the last time we spoke with you, gave us numbers that really didn't match up. The numbers that they gave us were the numbers from back in the 70s. And at that time, they were trying to tell us that nothing had changed since the 70s. And in actuality, yes, it has changed. Yes, we have grown. The city has grown immensely, but it's not growing equally. And as Joe said, it's unfair to the whole community, not just the Black community, to the Hispanic community, the Asian community. I mean, like, we have a diverse set of people here in this town. And our city doesn't show it in any kind of a way. Anyway, any place we go in this town, when we look for a city worker, 9 times out of 10, who do we see? A white worker. There's a lot of nepotism in the system. I understand, you know, you want folks to come in for the job, but when the jobs are listed, it's normally family members who come in and get the job. So it's not fair to our community, to any community, to be so undiverse. And we would appreciate it if we were more included in this community, because we spend our money here, we live here, we do everything that we can here. And like, if we're not feeling accepted, what do you want us to do? Leave here? That's what it boils down to. Scott, I've spoken with you about this on numerous occasions. And you seem to understand, but I don't know if you have the backing to do all this. But that's just my comment.
Very good. Thanks. Sorry, I struggled to hear a lot of that. I don't know if anyone else could hear it, but.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to address his concern about nepotism, because I can tell you that I have turned down several applicants who were related to employees, and there may have been a process in the past where that was allowed for nepotism, but under my watch since I've started, we do not hire employees that are family members or candidates who are family members, so that I can let you know I've definitely upset a few employees because I wouldn't hire their kid or their spouse.
Yeah, and I guess I will just, and again, I didn't catch who was on the phone. Kate, did you get the name? I'm sorry.
I didn't catch it. We'll have to go back and see if we can hear it again.
I just heard the comment about having support of what appears to be the council, and I would argue that this council is supportive of diversity and inclusion initiatives. This council is supportive of open lines of communication. This council has been supportive of any means necessary to kind of get the word out and reach out and get into our community. So I guess to that, I would say I have full confidence in every single member of the city council. So yes, there is support there.
Mr. Mayor, I think if I heard the caller right, I think his name was Freddie Sanders, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, yeah, I'm not certain. So anyway, so I know, Kate, you want to call up somebody else? I know I see Gail waving, but I don't know if you've got a better.
We've got 3 more callers plus Gail, so hold on, Gail.
Okay.
And asking this person to unmute. It doesn't say a name, but it's a telephone number. So they've been asked to unmute. The last 3 digits are 867. Yep, you're on the phone. Go ahead, caller, with your name and your address, and you have 5 minutes to speak to the council.
Hi, my name is Darlene Sanders, and my address is 322 Spencer Avenue. And I live here in South Haven, and I've worked for the school system for the last 7 years. My concern is pretty much everyone else's. There's not enough diversity in this town. If you look in the shops, If you look at a lot of these grocery stores, you hardly ever see any diversity. I don't know what it is that you need to do, but it's something that needs to be addressed and really need to be worked on. Because I don't think the issue is that they're not applying. I don't know what's going on in the process, but we need to correct the situation. And that's all I have to say on that.
Thank you.
Amen.
All right, we'll go to the next caller, sir. Don't see the name. It just says K51. I've asked them to unmute.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, my name is Mickey Paul, and I live at 871 Indiana Street, South Haven, Michigan. And I've been in South Haven for probably about 20-some years, and I like South Haven. But my concern is this, and I hear everybody talking, about hiring, but how many Black you plan on hiring? And my other question is, why haven't they not been hired?
Are you there, Mr. Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. I think your question cut out. I think you said how many Blacks have been hired. I'm not sure if that was your question. Can you repeat that?
They plan on hiring.
Kim, do you want to, I think the question is, if you're looking at, do we have a quota or something? Obviously
Well,
we post jobs.
yeah,
Kim went through that process of hiring, posting jobs. Would you just like clarification on how we post a job?
Yeah, so for Mr. Mayor, quotas are illegal under Article 1, Section 26 of the Michigan Constitution. So we can't state that we're going to hire a certain number. However,
Right.
with the Equal Employment Opportunity Plan that we're looking at, it's about reaching those diverse candidates and giving them, figuring out what is it, when we're looking at their applications, what is it that they have on their resume that we can help them with? Or, I've told other members of the community, I'm willing to go and meet with the churches and do on my own time, talk about resumes and mock interviews. And, Mickey, actually, you and I used to work together over at North Beach Inn way back when, and I think you're an awesome guy. And if I have a position, I would love to hire you because I knew you way back when. So I can't say exactly like a number, but, we're looking at a percentage of our workforce. And, right now I have one open position, and according to the data in BSNA, I did not have any Black candidates apply for that position. I probably won't have any more open positions until we get ready to do the seasonal hiring, unless somebody leaves.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Kim. Does that help, caller?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and it looks like we have another caller. It looks like this is Pastor Joe Wilkins. I'm going to ask him to unmute.
Can you hear me, Kate?
Yes.
Everybody can hear me. I want to start by saying Happy New Year. And certainly I agree with all that's been said. Let me start by saying that Kim is saying all the right things. But over the past summer, she had a chance to hire a very qualified young Black lady, and it didn't happen. It just simply didn't. She didn't get it done. It didn't happen. The reason she gave several Black leaders in the community that met with her because they were concerned about this same issue, the reason she gave was very disturbing. So this is a hard issue we have to deal with, but that's the fact. As a longtime resident and a champion for the well-being of this city and its resident, I am very concerned, extremely concerned about her report and what appears to be a problem with hiring people of color, particularly Blacks, when there's a full-time job, not seasonal job, full-time job. When there's a full-time job, especially within City Hall, when it comes to Blacks that have worked in City Hall, it has been painfully obvious that there's a drastic need for change. And my efforts to be a part of the change agent. This past summer, I met with Mayor Scott and Kate to share with them what I had learned that other cities, surrounding cities and HR departments was doing to address this same concern. Unfortunately, it seemed like my efforts were all in vain. It is very obvious, painfully obvious that more needs to be done. Merely removing work gap, race, and criminal questions from a job application is not enough. It only gets you an interview, but it don't get you the job. When it comes to your policies, I keep hearing from the staff that your policies are okay. A great report that Kim laid out. You have the right policies. We hear this all the time in place. But what I found out is it's been proven by studies that policies can be right, but the culture is wrong. The culture is wrong, especially when nothing is changing. So as a member of the South Haven Black Leadership Committee, which is made up of several Black clergy, that I would encourage Kim, Kate, the city council to encourage to get involved. They want to get involved, but they're being left off the interviewing process, board, committee. They're being left off of other committees that could help. That is part of what I think Councilman Reeser is trying to express. You're not hearing the concerns coming straight from the African-American community. Handpicking people to be on these boards and committees and is like-minded. You're gathering like-minded people. So I would encourage you to reach out to the Black leaders that make up the Black Leadership Committee. And because of that, I would like to ask that the city manager, the city council would consider hiring an independent party to perform an equity assessment of the city's EEOC documents, as well as an equity assessment of the overall organization. Why am I asking for this? This type of assessment will help the city manager and the mayor, the council, figure out how you can have an effective policy that renders the same results. The Black community is tired. We used to hear all the time, Blacks aren't applying. Blacks aren't applying. They're not qualified. We're not getting qualified African Americans. The last 2 job openings, you got very qualified African Americans and they were overlooked. So I'm asking that the council would consider an independent party to come in and do an equity assessment to help this city, to help the board, resolve these issues that the African American community has. It is a great concern, and we're asking that the council will at least hear our voice at this time to try to bridge the gap and this disparity. Thank you. I look forward to hearing from the council in regards to hiring an independent party to do an equity assessment. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. And I will just reiterate that, I know you and I, we've talked, several times. Several of those suggestions have been taken to our leadership, to Kim. You've seen several of those initiatives implemented, including, we're going to have an HR committee upcoming where we will further dissect diversity and inclusiveness. And I think you and I talked recently. I am happy to sit down anytime. And I think our biggest challenge right now is how do we get more voices to the table. So that's just something we're going to have to work on coming together. We just have to work on hearing more voices. So I am in agreement with that. So thanks again. Kate, who else we got?
Gail Patterson.
Hello, Gail.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to unmute. Okay, I just want to say that many of the speakers tonight, I agreed with the fact that there is a problem, and I like to point it not at people, but the process and what's been going on. The city of South Haven, we had the birthday party, 150 years. And as I know, it's only one African-American who ever worked in City Hall. As a clerk, I believe, many years ago, I heard that history story. That's what I've heard. And all those years, we as the African-American people have paid taxes. worked, contributed. And so now is the time when people are aware that Black lives do matter. And it's a time to call our leadership to overlook and see what can be done. I appreciate what Kim and Kate are doing, but the whole process, I think we need to look at. Kim doesn't and Kate don't do the hiring of the different employees, I believe. Isn't it the department heads that do the hiring? So then we have to look and see how are the department heads accountable for their hiring practices, and what are some of the goals. As one gentleman said, how many people, we can't put a quota, but we need to see something different. And I appreciate that the mayor and the city manager and the HR director want to hear from the community, but I think calling, having a specific time or specific times to meet with the African-American community, bring in the pastors, bring in people, and have a strategy, come to a strategy where we can actually see change. I like Pastor Wilkins' idea about equity assessment to see, because it's something that's deep-seated that somehow we haven't made enough progress quickly enough. I appreciate what Kim's plan is, but I think we need to see a little quicker progress after 150 years. And that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Gail. Hey, Gail, what might be helpful too, I mean, maybe if you've got some feedback, maybe from the county level, maybe you could share with us maybe what initiatives you guys are doing. Maybe what are your stats like? Maybe we could do a little comparison sometime. So maybe at a future meeting, we could compare notes. So we're here to listen. So. Oh, I can't hear you, sorry.
Try that again, Gail.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and I see someone else was wanting to speak in a few minutes too, but I am letting you know that as the county, have been trying to work on with the county to diversify. So we are in the same position that you all are in, and so as we learn, I will let you know, but we are trying to bring in someone from outside to come and speak.
So yeah, that might
to leadership, first of all, to show them that it's very important that you utilize all the talent in your community, in your county, because otherwise you're underutilizing your valuable assets. But I will get you that information as we go along.
Sounds good. Thanks, Gail.
I don't see any other hands raised.
Okay.
Oh, I see somebody right here. It says September on here. I'll go ahead and ask them to unmute. You have 5 minutes. You can state your name and your address.
Hey, how you doing? This is Ahmad Goodwin, 1012 Kalamazoo Street, South Haven, Michigan. And I got in the meeting a little late, but just thank you for these couple of minutes to be able to share. Based on what I heard, it seems like it's the same old issue of Blacks not being hired in the city, in City Hall, especially. And to speak to that, I would kind of piggyback on what Mrs. Patterson said is, I'll say this is the only way to move forward is that we have to look back a little bit. And when I look back in retrospect, it's the same old song. We say that Black Lives Matter, had this big old march. And when I spoke at the rally, I brought up the same very issue. And what it is just a bunch of talk. and no action done by the city. You know, you have chance after chance, year after year, and that's what it is. I call it, it's just a corporate hustle, just to rally folks up to talk, but then there's no action. It could also be called a form of structural racism if you really want to look at it, because after all those years, it's not only been African Americans living in the city of South Haven, but also Latinos and others of races and creeds and kinds. And it's unfair and it's past due. And the thing to do is just do it. We know a lot of people have those jobs and they're going to be locked in, not unless new jobs are created. So that's what I think. It's time to just stop talking and to do. And if those jobs in the city aren't available, let's look at other ways of helping and building up the African American community. Me, myself, I just don't talk. I bag up my words and my actions. In the summertime, I did free workouts and all like that to all different kind of kids. It just wasn't African Americans and nothing like that. So I played my part and I bagged it up. And I bagged it up even more by trying to build up the city. So if there's any other kind of resources or grants that I could be aware of to help me help further the city, I'm all for it. Because I'm not just a speakeasy. I use the resources and things that I have to help progress the city. Now, so if I'm playing my part, it's time for the city to step up and do theirs, you know, and let's continue to move forward in the spirit of unity and work together. But it's time to take action. And I hate to not to sound like this, but you know, it's true, and it's sad to say sometimes it make you feel bad that you're from South Haven when you go into these places and you're not represented nowhere, you know, and it can be such a hurtful thing. We live in a day and a time now where it's all different kind of races everywhere, but when you come specifically to South Haven, it's a lot of misrepresentation. So I hope that we do better in 2021 and the years to come. You know, I love South Haven, but sometimes I know it can be partial, but I believe if we work together and share our resources that we can make it happen. So that's all I want to say, and hope you guys have a blessed new year.
Thank you, Ahmad. You as well. All right, Ms. Kay.
We have one last person. It looks like Aricia Driver. I'm going to ask that person to unmute.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Erica Driver.
Oh, there you go. Sorry about that. Go
Oh, no,
ahead.
you're fine. It's always mispronounced because of the spelling. I just wanted to speak out and say as well, I agree with a lot that has been said. Again, I did come in pretty late as well and appreciate you all allowing me to speak, first of all. And I just want to say that, yes, I'm not from South Haven, but I live here and I've been here for 12 years now. Well, no, not that long. I came in 2012. So I've been here for a little over 8 years. And I came from Indianapolis, Indiana, where not necessarily, we're not going to use the word racism, but where the inequality is prevalent and you can see the difference. And when I moved here, I loved living in South Haven. I love living here. People ask me all the time, do you plan on going back to Indiana? No, never. But there are things that are very evident when it comes to Black and white. And like a lot of people say, Black Lives Matter. Yes, they do. But the problem is a lot bigger than just Black and white. It's the system that is in place that we have to follow just to be able to say we're productive citizens of society, to say that we are not criminals just from the color of our skin. We're already, what's the word? Looked at as a criminal or not having good intentions. So we have to work extra hard to obtain high school diplomas, college degrees. And then when it comes to once we have those and we've obtained them, now the struggle is to obtain a job. And we worked hard to get what we need to be able to get these jobs easier. And when someone not of color can apply for a position and not have a high school diploma or not have a college degree or not have the necessary education that's required for that particular position, and then that person will get the position in front of you. It makes us feel a certain type of way, and we've been dealing with it for a long time, as people have said prior to me. And again, now that the Black Lives Matter movement is going, why would we stay silent instead of trying to see change? Why would we stay silent instead of stepping in and South Haven and being a part of it? So we won't be looked at on the outside of by other people as, oh yeah, they're still a racist town, or because I don't believe we're a racist town. I love living here. I love every different race that I've come in contact with as I've lived here. You know, there's going to be negative people in all races, Caucasian, Black, Asian, Hispanic, or whatever. But it's always going to be somebody negative. But I'm not going to judge each race by one person's ignorance. But when it comes to equality, there's a lack there, and it's evident. We all know it, and the problem is not addressing it and not stepping up. Like we're all saying, we need to step up and not just talk about it, but make some actions. When we make one step, someone else will make another step. It needs to be a chain reaction. Kind of like when you pull in McDonald's and you pay for the person's meal behind you. Hopefully they'll do the same for the next behind them. We got to start this chain of kindness, this chain of equality, this chain of knowing that we all matter, that we all have blood, bleed, have bills, have families, need love, all the above. And I just feel that, yes, it's there, and something needs to be done. And it will be awesome to see change, to see something being done, to see a African-American working in City Hall. And I would pray that you don't just throw anyone in there to prove that we're wrong and put someone in there that's not qualified, but put a qualified African-American in there that can show that we can do it when we're given a chance. And then for those that aren't qualified, open up opportunities to where they can get the learning, the education, and the steps that's needed. Because a lot of people in the African-American community, their answer is, this is all I know. Well, we have chances out there to go out there and learn, but if people don't give you that push or that oomph, or if you don't feel needed or wanted, or some people just don't, they just give up after a while. And like we've heard prior to myself, it's been over 100 years and there's been no change. So people start giving up. But right now we're not giving up. We're calling, we're standing up, and we're voicing our opinions, and we pray and hope that our opinions actually go into consideration and that we'll see some change here real soon. Even if soon to others may mean tomorrow. If it's next month, I'll be grateful, you know, and just knowing that you guys are listening to us and open up this meeting for us to speak on it is one step and a start in the right direction. And that's all I want to say.
Very good. Thank you for your call.
I think that's all the callers we have, sir.
All right, let's get one more item done, then let's take a break. So item 10, City Council should consider a motion to schedule a workshop session to begin the annual priority setting process to occur on Thursday, January the 14th at 7 p.m.
One item to say about that, I know I have down there January 14th at 7 p.m. I've been notified that one of the council members does have a conflict that day. So I would like to keep the Monday, January 18th at 5:30 p.m. and either consider the 20th or the 26th as an alternate date.
Today. Did you let everybody else know that? Because I don't know if anyone else is checking calendars as we speak.
The 20th is a Wednesday and the 26th is a Tuesday. It'll be the last
20th, I know I'm out on the 20th.
Okay.
Tuesdays I could meet. It'd have to be, 7 would work.
Tuesday, the 19th works for Steve. And the 14th, I will be out of town.
This is George Sleeper. I can support the Tuesday, the 19th also.
Chris
This is
Campbell, I
Joe
can't do
Reeser.
that.
I'm open the 19th.
Chris, did you say that you were available on the 19th as well? No, you're not. Is everyone okay with the Monday, the 18th at 5:30 p.m.?
I prefer Monday.
I'm gone that week.
Okay. I can also do Wednesday.
Wednesday, the 20th?
Yes.
I think that was when the mayor, you're going to be gone, Mayor?
Correct. I'm out every Wednesday for the next about 4 or 5.
Keep in mind, the 18th is city council. If we wanted to do it prior to city council, I think Chris said it's not good, but he may not be at city council either.
Are you going to be gone from city council that week, Chris? Okay. Did anyone have an issue with the 26th of January, which is a Tuesday?
That should work.
George, it works for George Sleeper.
I'll say yes for Scott.
Yes for Steve.
Yes
Yes
for
for
Joe
Jeff.
Reeser.
And
Okay.
yes for Jeff also.
Okay, and then we'll set that at 7 PM, so we'll do a workshop on that. So I'll get that date. If we need another one, we can talk about the future date at that time. How's that sound?
Perfect. And what was that, Kate? Tuesday, January
26th, and we'll set it at 7 PM,
7th PM.
unless there's, anyone wants to meet sooner than that.
All right. Like, can I get a motion to that effect?
This is Steve Schlack. I'll make a motion to schedule a workshop session to begin January 26th at 7 PM for the annual priority setting process.
George Sleeper, I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for that Tuesday, January the 26th. Let's roll call that.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. It's 8:45-ish. Can I get a motion? We'll take a 5-minute recess.
This is George Sleeper. Make a motion to take a 5-minute recess.
Joe Reeser, I'll second it.
All right, roll call that, please.
Reeser,
Yes.
Schlack,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. See everybody back about 8:50.
Norma, I can help you anytime tomorrow evening. Just give me a call.
All right, we are at the witching hour of 8:50. We got everybody but Letitia back, is that right?
Yes.
All right, well, let's let her, I mean, we can call up, let's at least mention where we're at. We're at the,
Number 11.
what's that?
Number 11, citizens on the audience.
Yep. So again, if you would like to make a comment on an item not on our agenda, raise your hand, use the icon or dial in to *9. And again, you'll have up to 5 minutes. Just please state your name, your address, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak to the council.
So far, I don't see anyone's hand raised.
Give them 30 seconds and then we'll call it and we'll move on.
Do we need to go back into session?
Yes, I think that's probably a good idea.
Oh, sure, why not?
Thanks, Jeff.
Motion it up. Are you making a motion, Jeff?
I'd make a motion that we resume our session.
Curtis Campbell, I'll second.
All right, motion second to go back into open session. Roll call.
Reeser? Reeser?
Oh, there you go, Joe.
Yes.
Schlack?
Yes.
Sleeper?
Yes.
Wilkins?
Yes.
Arnold?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes. So anybody, you seen anybody, Kate?
No hands have been raised for items not on the agenda.
Perfect. Let's move on. City manager comments.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to say that the ice rink has been a big hit. We had anticipated that after the holidays, we would go down to 5 days a week. We are going to be extending that to keep it at 7 days a week because of the popularity. I understand that young people are going back to school starting today, but they're actually probably not going to be actually in school until the 11th. The ice rink hours are 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. So it's probably when they get out of school anyways, and it seems to be a nice outlet for them. Again, 20 people are limited to the ice, and we have an attendant on duty. I wanted to give a shout out and thanks to our Public Works Department for the work on the snow that we received this weekend. It was very picturesque, but also kind of slippery. So they worked really hard to get our streets opened up and our sidewalks cleared. I did want to issue a welcome to our new city clerk, Nathan Slower, and welcome to him as he gets his onboarding done. It's a tough job being a clerk, and we're happy to have him. Also, I wanted to let people know we have made an offer and a position has been accepted for the assistant city manager position. Griffin Graham, a local boy who is actually working at the Saugatuck Township manager. It was kind of a coup to get him down here. He's handling a lot of the same issues that we are handling down here. He'll be starting January 28th. I can't say enough about what an exceptional young man he is, and we're very excited to have him start later this month. Thank you.
Okay, that was it, Kate. Sorry, it was your thank
Yes,
you. You're good.
that's it. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, council comments. I will begin tonight with Mr. Reeser. Don't want to forget him 2 times in a row. Go, Joe.
During my 3 years on city council, I've heard a lot of comments from city council people and others, but none in the past have ever left me speechless. Upon reflecting on the last city council meeting, I wish I had responded to Letitia at the end of the meeting. I felt that Letitia was left hanging without any support from me in particular. I denoted sadness and frustration on her part about the city of South Haven not hiring enough African Americans. A statement that she made a number of times was, what does the city have to do? Excuse me, what does it take to get a Black person hired in the city? Her pain was apparent to me. Letitia, as we all know, does not comment often in meetings, but when she does, it's sincere, meaningful, and to the point. So I want to publicly apologize to Letitia for not verbally validating her feelings. I believe what she said was heartfelt and represents the view of others in our community, and that was apparent tonight. I suggest we pay attention to what she said, since we want to be a town of inclusion. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe. Jeff Arnold.
I guess my comment was just maybe just homework for Kate. One of the comments, I believe it was Pastor Wilkins, mentioned the boards and committees. So I was wondering if we have any vacancies in boards and committees. And obviously I know you won't know right now, but that would be something we could look into for the next meeting and see what vacancies we have out there. We can certainly encourage members of the public to apply. We always need people for boards and committees. And when Pastor Wilkinson said that, I thought, boy, that's something we could quickly change to get more people onto those boards and committees to help share their views and thoughts on things. And that's my only comment.
Good comment. Thank you, Jeff. All right, Miss Letitia.
Happy New Year's to everyone. I just want to real quickly say in response to Mr. Reeser's comment, thank you for that, Joe. I really appreciate it. And certainly thank you to Gail for her comments that she made tonight. I appreciate that. And so that no one gets, try to make this a one-sided thing. I'm an educator and I've been in education for over 20 years. And when I teach or when I interact with students, it has absolutely nothing to do with color. What I do it from my heart because I love what I do. And if this was the other way around, I would do the same thing, because I think that as a human being, as a citizen of the United States, that we should stand up at all times for what is right. If we're going to get up and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag, and we know that it ends with injustice for all, how can we keep saying that justice for all when we're not pushing that? We got to push that, and we have to open up our eyes. We have to stop hiding behind I'm liberal or I know I'm this. No, we're not. All of us are guilty. And I just think in 2021, we have to own it, own where we are, where we're at as people, and admit that we're wrong and that we all need to do better. And we have to come up. We cannot hide behind this data, this misconstrued data. We have to be real and we have to be honest, because I still believe that you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. I believe that wholeheartedly. So I just believe that we should want to do better as citizens and treat everybody right. Those are my comments.
Thank you, and Happy New Year. Hope school's going good. Steve, good evening.
I would just like to thank everybody in participating in tonight's meeting. I think we got a lot of good information. I think we got a lot of good comments from the public. It's always interesting to get good feedback, and we always ask for community involvement. I think we saw some of that tonight, and I can only hope it's a sign of the times to come for 2021, and I hope we get more feedback and the community can get behind one another and come together for a great new year. And I appreciate staff for their reports, and Kim Wise for her reports as well. And again, I'll reiterate, I think we're headed in the right direction, and we can only go up from here. So thanks and Happy New Year.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Mr. Chris Campbell.
Happy New Year. And I agree a lot with what Steve just said. I think a lot of things are being put in place. I think change is going to take some time, but I think we're going in the right track. I think the first thing we need to do as a community is listen to people. hear what everyone's saying. Without people bringing it to our attention, we're not going to always know everything. But until we do, people let us know and we can listen and try to build upon that. So that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. George.
Well, everything I was going to say has already been said very well. So no further comments.
Very good, thank you. Couple thoughts, and obviously first, just Happy New Year to everybody. I mean, we made it to 2021, thank goodness. I would like to thank all of my fellow council members for your patience. Last year was not fun. It's still really not much fun going into this new year. I'm looking forward to being in person. I find these meetings are challenging as we just talk about communication. I think communication is significantly limited right now. I think we're all feeling that. I miss the opportunities to interact with our neighbors. It's tough right now. Communication is hard. Zoom isn't doing it for me. So I look forward to being in person again soon. Again, just thanks to our city staff for the work you're doing. I want to continue to thank our first responders for all you've done and continue to do. To our residents, again, appreciate all the input, all the ideas, your support, your understanding. Again, it's been a process. As a reminder, continue as you're able to support our downtown businesses and restaurants. It is still very tough. We're entering an extremely tough time of year for these businesses in a normal year, and we slide in COVID into that, and it's going to be a struggle. Also, I know we've got a couple educators here, but as we continue to keep our high school seniors in our thoughts, and they've missed their entire year. So remember those folks as they get, I'm hoping we can help them celebrate together before they head out into the real world, knowing they haven't had a chance to be together with their classmates in almost a year now. Yes, welcome Nathan, and continue just being diligent. You know what, wearing masks, social distancing, wash your hands, all that good stuff. I was joking with someone the other day. I said, this is the world's largest team building activity. It's the whole planet against one coronavirus. So if you're able to, medically able to get your shot, your vaccine, please get your vaccine and join the anti-Pfizer group, or the anti-Pfizer, the anti-COVID group. So I did get my shot last week or so, and 10 days ago. So I'm happy to report I had the Pfizer shot. My next shot's in a week. Very uneventful. It's a flu shot. Do not be afraid of the COVID shot. So I hope everybody goes ahead and gets their shots. Real quick, I just want to share some thoughts on our priorities for 2020 and where we're headed. So as we look, let's work down through them real quick. If we look at the management of high water, as far as Black River and Lake Michigan, I think we did a great job last year. I think we should look, as we look at priorities, at somehow creating a permanent budget line item for high and low water challenges, because we know the cycles, we've seen it. And for me, it's disappointing that we don't have something already kind of created within our budget to deal with that issue. So there's just something for us to think about. We know the high water created problems with our beaches, with our pier safety. We have work ongoing with the Beach and Pier Safety Group. We will continue to learn and study with that group. I'm also planning to meet with leadership and first responders from some of our neighboring communities to see if we can learn best practice, whether it's looking at pier closures, signage. Is there some consistency? So that's something we're working on. When it comes to the work, missing middle and workforce housing, I think most of us as a group will agree that the work that Ryan Kilpatrick has done has gotten us, a fair way. I look forward to, seeing the redevelopment of the Overton site, but clearly there's a lot to do. I think that's going to require maybe some joint meetings if we could get together even with the townships and really look at, the availability of land. If we're going to build more homes, let's face it, some of that building is going to be outside of our community. So we need to look at housing if we're going to keep attracting people to come into our community to work and live. Economic development, I just think, May 2022, anybody have any thoughts on why we should have that date on our radar? It's not your COVID shot. Thank you, George, for not helping. You're-
Palisades.
Wow, thank you. I tried to mute you. I couldn't do it, but no. So we're gonna lose, Palisades powers down May 2022. So 600 jobs, millions of dollars of payroll are gonna start to disappear. So we really, economic development has got to sit atop of our priorities. It is so important on so many different levels. We need to prepare the community. We're going to be recovering from COVID, and we're going to step right into that. So we really need to look at, the concept of an economic development coordinator. We need to look at how to help our existing businesses grow. We need to help fill our industrial parks where we can. We need to put we need LMC to step up and help us train our existing workforce and help us attract new people. We did just get get certified as a redevelopment ready community, which is helpful, but just there's a lot of work to do in this area. And it is my hope that we're able to put that well up top, and it is really where we should be focused. So stay focused. And thank you, Steve or George, for not jumping in there. So Maritime District maintenance and improvements. A lot of work done there, as we know, with the high water. So I hope we continue to, additionally, I think we should continue to look at the all season site. I know that was on the radar, off the radar. I think we should continue to look at that as another possibility for redevelopment. CBD improvements. I just, again, would like to compliment, the staff. I think Center Street was fantastic. I think the art looks great. Randy Locker's work at the Hales building looks great. Next up, community recreation field improvements. I know Chris Campbell and I both have a passion. We would love to see this, improve more. I look forward to working with the schools on a plan to improve the existing fields at the high school space. We use the space, our community uses the space, our visitors use the space, and we need to really continue to embrace that space. So I'm looking forward to seeing that done. Our community wants to be active, and if we're going to attract people, we need to continue to do more in that area. Parks, public spaces, I think you're seeing improvement. Obviously, we added the splash pad last year. We're seeing improvements to the Pilgrim Haven site with the addition of new property. City codification, I think we're going to probably push that up to next year's priorities. Public roads and infrastructure improvement repairs. I think we're doing a good job with our street repairs. I think we could continue to do more with the money we've got. I would like to have some time spent investigating the concept of a permanent road village this next year. The reality is we know what it costs to maintain the roads, and when we plan ahead, we're able to gain more money through grants and whatnot. We saw that on Center Street. So I think it's time to look at that before our current road village expires. Customer service and communication. We just spent a lot of time tonight talking about, customer service and communication. So while we've done certain trainings, we've talked about initiatives through our HR department relative to diversity and inclusion. I am working with staff and we'll be seeking council input on a resolution for racial justice, inclusion, and diversity. Kim mentioned several other ideas, and I guess I just want to say that we're struggling right now with communication. I think part of that's COVID. Part of it's just, we've been unable to meet. We can't have board meetings. We had a meeting in the park a while ago. It was nice to have people out. So I just think we need to be purposeful in trying to communicate. And I heard, and again, I will connect as best I can with, any of these groups and figure out ways we could sit down and get together and just talk some of these issues out. So I also had a nice, one of my other goals for this year, and I'll be happy to grab council members as we go, but I plan to get out with our police officers, including our chief. And we plan on walking every street in town starting this early spring, just to be out, be visible, and just to hopefully get out and have a chance to talk to our residents. So we'll probably start with masks on, but hopefully by the end of the year, we'll get our masks off with this stuff goes on. And almost done. So really, other than that, board training is ongoing, and our community vision statement, hopefully that gets worked on later this spring once we can get the public a little more involved with that process. So again, these are just established priorities. It's a lot of what government does. And so I hope people are aware that there's a lot that goes on, day to day running, City Hall, your elected officials are out there trying to do our best to listen, to pay attention. and to give feedback where we can back to city staff. So please, please, please be in touch with us. If you have thoughts, if you have ideas, we do our best to listen, to pass them on. I know all of us have phone numbers, cell numbers, email addresses. So my hope is that people feel free to call us and contact us and talk to us as we heard tonight. So with that, we have a priority setting session coming up. We have a new year coming up. So I will say Happy New Year, and I will seek a motion to adjourn.
Steve Schlack, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Joe Reeser, I'll second it.
Motion, a second to adjourn. Roll call.
Schlatt,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes, and we are adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.